My breakthrough was my first project was a $17 million, 113 bed, 72,000 square foot assisted living facility that, really made me have a massive breakthrough because not many people can start at that level. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had the mindset and I know how to build it. So, if someone out there is thinking about getting into real estate, you don't have to, what do they call, do analysis paralysis where you're frozen thinking that you have to know every single thing and be perfect before you get started. Just go out there and take that first step.
Today's our guest is Ken Van Loo from Global Real Estate Strategies. Welcome, Ken.
Hello, how are you, everyone? Welcome. Thank you so much, Rama.
Thank you very much, Ken. Little bit about Ken. Ken has over 30 years of experience in syndication and development of numerous high-profile real estate developments, totaling more than $1.35 billion in capital investment. He has consistently delivered projects on schedule, under budget, and participated with the largest developers in New York City. Stainer, CB Developers, SK Development, Iron State, Forest City, iShare Continuum, and RFR Holdings, Davis and Partners, and etc. So with that, Kevin, you want to add anything to your background?
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think it's most important that, everybody knows that I'm just a normal person. I put my pants on one leg at a time. And, I just was blessed with the opportunity to build skyscrapers in New York City. But I started with $10 a week, and my dad told me to go to college. And, it was a long journey to get there, but it was fun. So, I get to pay it forward now.
Got it. Yeah, thank you. So how did you get into real estate and development phase, Ken?
Yeah, I came into real estate, I guess you would say, from the top down because I didn't know much about real estate, but I knew about construction. I had studied in college civil engineering and I had won an award for site development, but I didn't know anything better other than the engineering aspect of it. And as my career grew, I quickly didn't like to sit down at a desk and do calculations. I was more of a gregarious guy out there having fun, liking to talk to people. So after about a year of learning how to do site design, I went into construction and was fortunate to get hired by one of the largest companies in the world and started building skyscrapers in New York City, which led me in a real estate direction. That's how it kind of started, but it really started through construction.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, thank you. And what is your investment philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, my investment philosophy is a little bit different than a lot of people because, coming in from a building aspect and everybody has their superpower, your specialty was IT, you're very smart with data and finding and analyzing. And my superpower wasn't that, I knew how to build. And what really drove me into real estate, and I wrote a little bit about it in my book, is that in real estate development, there's 9 ways to pay fees. And, whether you're in finance or whether you're in, bookkeeping or accounting or development or building or sales, there's some fee that you can keep within the mix here, or within the family, as you say, or within your company. And what really drove me to go into business is I was sitting there one day going, wow, I just built this $100 million project for someone. And if I could just do it for myself, even if it was $10 million, I could pay myself a 5% fee. And that would have been $500,000. And that's how I kind of transitioned into real estate. It was figuring out how I could pay myself because, I was in a big time position and I didn't really know how to get out without figuring out how to pay myself a salary or a fee. And that was what made me transition and drove me.
Got it. Got it. And share me any one breakthrough moment in your career.
Yeah, my biggest breakthrough moment was when, I made my daydreaming come true. I was on I got invited to a golf outing, and never in a million years would I think that I would be in a country club. But as I played that golf round, I really became so confident that, hey, my knowledge and my expertise, that all I had to do was raise money. And my breakthrough was, my first project was a $17 million, 113 bed, 72,000 square foot assisted living facility that, really made me have a massive breakthrough, because not many people can start at that level. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had the mindset, and I know how to build it. So, if someone out there is thinking about getting into real estate, you don't have to, what do they call, do analysis paralysis, where you're frozen thinking that you have to know every single thing and be perfect before you get started. Just go out there and take that first step and get started.
Got it. Got it. uh, so you build a lot of development projects. So would you share any, like, biggest project, and so what, share me like the process and how you got that project, and some success
Yeah, yeah,
tips.
yeah, yeah. So, and I think the success system is important, in any type of real estate, whether it's a large project or a residential project. There's three main components, right? You have to figure out how to find deals. You have to figure out how to fund deals, and obviously manage, and I call it facilitate the deals. So if you're building a house, you have to go in and you have to do some drawings and figure out what you're going to build. And then you have to file those drawings and get a permit, and then you get approval, and then you get your construction loan, and then you build it, and then you get the certificate of occupancy, and you move in. And that process literally is the same for any type of development process. So if you were going to build a skyscraper, you would just repeat that process, say 30 times. It's like almost building houses on top of each other. And I say that, and it may sound a little silly, but I really try to simplify it, that with the right mindset, if you go, okay, I'm going to find a deal, I'm going to fund it, and I'm going to facilitate it, and you have enough confidence to add a couple zeros, then you can kind of dive into a project that can set you free on one deal.
Got it. Got it. uh, and share me any of your success tips.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, you have to be very consistent, and you have to, I would say, surrender to a certain aspect where, you can't do this all yourself, and the first thing that I always tell people is, you have to build a dream team around you, and you want to surround yourself with people that know more than you in areas that you need to accelerate, the development business. So I think that the key is, building that dream team around you, after you're clear on your vision. And, before you can do any of that, it's really, you have to take care of yourself. Just like when you're in an airplane, you have to give yourself the oxygen mask before you can help others. And I really think that, getting into real estate development, it's not easy, but it's fun in the sense that every day is different. And it's not easy in the sense that it's a constant, daily process that you keep pushing forward, right? So you have to have, you have to have wherewithal, and you have to have, a vision that, that gives you passion, and that all comes from mindset and daily routine. And I think, one of the most important things, whether you're going to go into multifamily investing, whether it's development, and you get clarity around your plan, it really comes down to every day blocking time and doing important things that are, critical to what you want in your life, say 5 years down the road. So time blocking is super critical, on a daily basis also.
Yeah, got it. So from mindset point of view, did you face any time any limiting beliefs?
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If it wasn't for people like Tony Robbins and, Jack Canfield and Dolph DeRoos and, a bunch of other mentors, um, it's hard sometimes, because it's easily, you could easily crawl into a rabbit hole, and I think it's important to surround yourself that, when, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. But, a lot of times you have to bang just your thoughts off other people, and that's where it's important to surround yourself with mentorship also.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. So, would you share any of your complex development project and what kind of challenges you have faced?
Yeah, yeah. Sure. I have over 100 acres under development right now. And, some of them we're going through the approval processes. Others, we're getting started with concept. Others we're breaking ground. And there's always, in development, there's always a lot of unanticipated conditions. Approvals in certain areas of the country are torturous. In other areas of the country, they're welcoming, and, it really comes down to, as I was saying before, being persistent, consistent, having your processes in place, because these properties that we're working on, have extensive engineering, civil engineering. You have to structure the deals. They have multiple uses. Our project in North Carolina has a wellness center where we're targeting one of the universities, which will include some medical office buildings. We have some, high end, retail, like, where we can do like Chick-fil-A's, not high end retail in the sense of New York City, but, like a Chick-fil-A or a Panera Bakery. We have vertical residential. We have townhomes, self-storage, flex office. Some of our other projects have affordable housing, market rate housing, in different areas of the country, and every project's different, whether it's challenged with, today we're having troubles with materials, escalating in prices, um, some things being a little upside down, it's what keeps it's what keeps it interesting every day, but, those are some of the challenges. So, whether it's an approval or you're trying to get material or figuring out a certain structure or syndicating, a development within a development. Because when you look at the 45-acre piece, we have, a self-storage, so that acts as its own little development. And we have 100 townhomes, and that acts as its own little development, etc. So it's just, I guess, a fun but complex process if you were to compare it, to just doing a wholesale. But it has also a lot of the things similar to doing a wholesale.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So, what is the typical timeline for your development projects?
Yeah. Yeah, development projects, you could basically say, if you were to pick a number, it's anywhere from 2 to 3 years, before you break ground, in some cases and that's where, you're coming in cold with no approvals. Um, New York City's a little different because there's as of right, you know what you can build, when you own a property. Jersey's a little different. North Carolina, we're actually going in, and the first 6 months of the process is getting the zoning changed. And then the next 6 months of the process is getting all the engineering and approvals done, more of a site planning approval. And then also like Department of Environmental Protection and Department of Transportation, we get all the unappealable approvals before we close on the property. And a lot of times we get these properties for little or no money down, contingent upon approval. And that's really one of the secrets that I want to share with everybody. You can buy these big projects for literally no money.
Got it. Got it. So, from selecting markets or selecting location point of view, so what kind of research your company or you will do?
Yeah, we keep it pretty simple. I do have some guys that that we have some data researchers, and we go into area and we could scrape, and we have large data sources, but we find that the large data sources, it's not our number one source of deals. Our number one source of deals is just word of mouth and relationships. We do get deals that come in, I call it our filtering system, because, when you have a database of properties, you know it better than anybody being in IT, there's a process to filter it and get people raise their hand, of interest. So, so we are doing some, I guess I call it machine learning, data research I want to move more into the artificial intelligence and bring in some blockchain technology for a fund that we're creating, and head in that direction. But one of the strategies that we take, and I call it a blue ocean strategy, is, we come in and we talk development and transformation and listen for what's important to the town, and we try to reliably deliver, not try, but reliably deliver what's important to them. And from those relationships, they just lead into other conversations. Like we went to North Carolina, and the town planner's like, hey, why don't you talk to this guy, or why don't you talk to that guy? And then our planner's like, oh, you have to meet such and such. And, through those relationships, we find deals that keep our plate full.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you. So from permits or, or any other aspects, what are the challenges or different aspects you observed from New York versus North Carolina?
Yeah. Well, it's a whole different aspect with raising money. New York, to build the skyscraper in New York when the market was thriving, you could raise, $50 million in a couple of days, and that's changed, and if you're getting money out of New York and it's not in a project in New York, the whole due diligence process is a lot more because they want to learn about North Carolina. North Carolina, I think, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but it's a whole different approach where everything that we do in New York doesn't apply to North Carolina. So you have to kind of go to North Carolina with a clean slate. It's a different conversation. You can't be a New York slick. You have to, really find out what's important, and they move at a different pace down there. So, you have to be able to move in. And I think the biggest difference is being able to acclimate to how, society's a little different, fortunately, coming out of New York, I guess I could say you're a little more advanced in some things, but you're at a disadvantage of other things. It's kind of funny.
Mm, got it. Got it. So are you planning to do more development projects in Southeast markets?
In the South market, did you say?
Yeah, Southeast. Yeah.
Yeah. The Southeast. Yeah. We're now going to start, targeting some other corridors. We're a little north of Raleigh right now. We're going to head in some other directions outside of Raleigh, and I guess stay on the outskirts of the triangle. We've been getting a lot of deals in Florida, and we have some stuff in Texas. So, we've been focused on those 3 states right now. And you asked one question before, anything outside of the major cities, where, it's a frenzy and people are paying, ridiculous money, is somewhere where there's a less barrier to entry, in my opinion.
Got it. Got it. And what's your take on real estate multifamily space next 1 to 5 years?
Can you repeat that question? Did you say?
What's your take on multifamily or real estate next 1 to 5 years?
Yeah, got it. So, so my thought, is, right now, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sensing it, and I've seen it, is that it's almost a little less expensive to build than it is to buy multifamily now per square footage. It's almost becoming relative. So I think, a lot of people in multifamily may look towards, other avenues of creating multifamily, and look into development. I think multifamily is going to continue to have, demand because, there's a tremendous shortage of housing. And, in today's world, people don't necessarily want the responsibility of their own home. And, multifamily is, I think, going to be, a big way of the future. I'm envisioning, some of the malls where retail is struggling, turning into destinations where you'll see little verticals popping out of malls and creating, residential mid-rises, possibly in some of the, in some of the states throughout the country. So, I think that, the good news is I don't think there's going to be any massive fallouts. I think there'll be, an adjustment, but, I think multifamily is going to continue to thrive.
Got it. I think I agree with your points. Like, now building new construction is less expensive compared to,
Yeah.
purchasing C class or, B class properties. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And would you share any of your best development investing experience so far?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess my greatest development experience is some of the projects I did in New York City. One of the projects I did was $1 billion project in New York City, and it was in actually Brooklyn, and it was a financial project which had some of the largest security data centers on the face of the earth. One project was called SIAC. It was for basically the New York and American Stock Exchange, the backup systems for every New York and American Stock Exchange transaction. Another building was for the Brooklyn Union Gas headquarters, which was the entire network system of, gas transmission and electric in the underground for the 5 boroughs. Another one was the E911 headquarters that did, every emergency call to 5 boroughs. And that was built for Forest City Ratner, Bruce Ratner, who owned the New Jersey Nets. And as a young man, building that project was absolutely fascinating. Another project I did for the LEFRAC organization, 966 residential units as a young man. And I would say my favorite one was the Lehman Mansion on Millionaires Row on 54th Street, where we renovated the Lehman Mansion and restored it to the original state. And it was just a magnificent project. And we turned it into a data center and eventually sold it to a billionaire for like 40 million bucks. So it was pretty cool.
Awesome. Would you also share any of your worst or challenging experience in development space?
Worst challenging, you said?
Yeah. Worst or challenging? Yeah.
Um, in the development space, the most challenging, I think, if I'm understanding the question, was I was building a project on 29th Street, and the foundation was down over 35 feet. It was 2 levels of parking. And after we started drilling caissons, it was a secant foundation, and halfway into the foundation, the building next door started to lean, and it literally leaned all the way to 9 inches before we were able to stabilize it through the installation of structural rakers and injecting concrete underneath the foundation, because we found that the soil was unstable. And it was an interesting time. I didn't sleep well those couple weeks. But the fortunate thing is all of this was being monitored in real time, where I had cameras monitoring the building with telltales. We knew by the moment as it was moving by the fraction, and it was pretty interesting. But I would say that was probably the most challenging development experience I ever had, where people were almost evacuated from a building in danger.
Got it. Got it. So, and what is your current focus, Ken?
My current focus is to really make a huge difference in the world with real estate this year. We are going into production in June for a national documentary called Real Estate Today: Keys to Investing with Dennis Quaid. We're real excited about that. And, I'm really focused on, sharing my education with the nation. We are focused on our educational platform, Global Real Estate Investment Enterprise, and focused on building, a multi-million-dollar fund this year that's going to focus on real estate development throughout the country.
Got it. And any one advice that you received have major impact on you?
Say it one more time.
So any one advice that you have received have major impact on you?
Any one advice. Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say, the biggest advice that I received was, look at things that you struggle with, that maybe you want to invest in, where you look at it as a cost and try to look at it as a value, and especially when you invest in yourself. And I would say the biggest thing is that every year invest in yourself. Like, take physical money, go to a seminar, buy a program, invest in yourself, because investing in yourself is something that no one can ever take away from you. And I think it's really important. And then surround yourself with mentors, and don't try to figure things out yourself. If you find that you're asking yourself the same question or worried about something, call your mentor and talk it through.
Yeah, two powerful advisors. Yeah. And any of your personal habits that helping you to be successful?
Yes, I truly believe you are what you eat, and I have unlimited energy. I track my sleep, with a sleep ring. I think, it's all about, what you put into your body. And, if you want unlimited energy and you want, to be a leader and set an example, I think well-being is something that is important. You can't be walking into a meeting, looking all, out of shape. It doesn't set a good example. So.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Any books that impacted your life and what way?
Yeah. Yeah. I won't say I mean, everybody always says Think and Grow Rich, but two books that really always had a profound difference on me. One was called Deep Work, that I think is profound, because that's exactly how I became so successful, was, being in that deep work every single day, those hours where you hit production at like 40x. People are just like, how do you do it? And I think the other one that had such a profound difference, because I found myself, it's called Gap versus Gain. And I always found myself living in the gap. And when you're an overachiever, you create these large goals that sometimes are a pretty high mountain. And when you get halfway up the mountain, instead of looking up and getting down on yourself, you should look down and get proud of yourself for what you accomplished, and then look up. And I think really that was one of the biggest shifts for me, is that when I started to live in the gain instead of the gap, it just changed everything.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. And how are you giving back to community?
Yeah, I surround myself with people that are in need, so I delegate almost everything. I contribute through the church. Um, we every time we do a project, we plan on whom we're going to contribute to prior. But it's and every month, I give my time, and instead of um worried about making $1 million, I sit with 100 people in my enterprise, and I try to help them figure out how to get started in real estate. And that's what really floats my boat, in the sense that, the human need of contribution and growing and learning about patience, something I never had my whole life, and being able to, okay, he is where he is, or she is where she is, and they're going to get it when they get it. But, I get to show up, I get to tell people to show up. And that's what it's all about in life. Half of it's showing up, um, or a third of it is showing up, and a third of it's mindset, and then a third of it's execution and following direction.
Got it, got it. And how can listeners can connect with you?
Yes. I mean, everybody check out my new website, kenvanloo.com. And, make sure you check out, there's a bunch of free programs. 11millionairesecrets.com tells you literally my fondest 11 secrets. There's the 8 golden nuggets, which is some more nuggets that you get. All that's free. There's my book is for free. And then if you want, if you're a serious real estate investor and you want to talk to me, there's a button on there, that allows you to connect, watch a video, schedule an appointment with me. We get on the phone and figure out, where you're stuck and how I can help you out. But everything you can find on kenvanloo.com, or if you go to 11millionairesecrets.com, you can dive right into the secrets and have some fun.
Awesome. And thank you, Ken. Thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for adding value to the show.
No, thank you, Ram. I appreciate it.
Sure.